They said, look at that perfect pair as you...
On the morning of 9th May, 1989, the world was shocked to find out that their favorite country singer Keith Whitley had passed away. From the rolling hills of Kentucky to the bright lights of Music City, Keith Whitley's life was one of triumph and tragedy, success and sorrow. But as the sun set on his life, a question lingered in the air. How could someone with so much talent and promise meet such a tragic end? Keith Whitley entered the world on July 1st, 1954, in the quaint town of Sandy Hook, Kentucky. From his earliest days, he was enveloped in the rich scope of Appalachian culture, where music wasn't just a pastime but a way of life. Keith's family loved music and helped him play guitar from a very young age. He grew up in the Appalachian foothills, surrounded by the music of famous singers like the Stanley Brothers and Lefty Frizzle. These sounds filled the air and inspired Keith to dream big about music. In Keith's home, music was more than just fun. It was a part of who they were. His dad, who worked as an electrician, saw Keith's talent early on and gave him his first guitar when he was just a little boy. His mom, who edited a newspaper and loved music deeply, played many instruments and shared her love for music with him. Even before he was a teenager, Keith and his brother Dwight were already getting attention, singing on local radio and TV. Their music echoed through the hills of Kentucky, a celebration of their deep musical roots. As Keith got older, his dreams grew too. He wanted to be a part of the lively bluegrass music scene, where musicians and singers came together to tell their stories through music. Keith's voice fit right in with the sounds of banjos and sad fiddles. He truly started to shine when he joined a group called the Clinch Mountain Boys. His sweet voice and friendly way made him very popular, and people loved watching him perform. Over time, Keith and Dwight became even better musicians. They continued to perform on radio and TV, their voices smooth and sweet, touching the hearts of everyone who listened. On those simple stages, Keith first felt the thrilling excitement of performing. The rush of adrenaline and the loud cheers from the audience were thrilling. It was addictive.
When you hold me tonight.
He loved the attention and the applause. Little did he know, this was just the start of his journey toward becoming a star. But Keith's dreams were bigger than just his hometown. He wanted to be great. Inspired by the legendary country singers who had made history with their music, he admired Hank Williams, who sang sad songs about love and loss. George Jones, known as the Possum, had a voice that was sharp and clear, and Merle Haggard, the outlaw singer, whose songs spoke to the rebel spirit inside Keith. He felt a deep connection to these musicians, as if they were family. But along the way, Keith also faced some trouble with his behavior. Keith's teenage years were marked by a series of close calls and miraculous escapes. Keith liked to live dangerously. Whether he was drinking homemade liquor with his friends or driving too fast, he was always on the edge, challenging fate. But it seemed that fate had different ideas for him. Not once but twice, Keith came face to face with death and walked away without a scratch. One time, his car flew off a cliff, and another time, he fell through ice into a freezing river. These moments could have been the end for him, but he survived, showing just how tough and lucky young people can be. It was in the middle of all this wild and risky living that Keith's life crossed paths with another young musician, Ricky Skaggs. Two kindred spirits, drawn together by a shared love of music and a penchant for mischief, they formed a bond that would shape the course of their lives. United by their admiration for the Stanley Brothers, Keith and Ricky embarked on a musical journey that would take them from smoky bars to crowded honky-tonks. Together, they formed a tribute band, their voices blending seamlessly as they paid homage to the legends who came before them. But it wasn't long before their talent caught the ear of one of bluegrass's most revered figures, Ralph Stanley. Picture the scene: a broken-down car, a missed gig, and two young upstarts stepping into the spotlight to fill the void. Ralph, the patriarch of the Clinch Mountain Boys, couldn't believe his ears. Here were two boys from the backwoods of Kentucky, singing the songs of his youth with a passion and authenticity that sent shivers down his spine. Impressed by their raw talent and undeniable charisma, Ralph welcomed Keith and Ricky into the fold, setting the stage for a partnership that would take them from the hills of Appalachia to the bright lights of Nashville. Collaborations, touring, and recording sessions followed, each one cementing Keith's place in the pantheon of bluegrass legends. For years, Keith was a key part of the Clinch Mountain Boys, his voice fitting perfectly with the banjo's twang and the sad sounds of fiddles. But his dreams grew bigger. He felt torn between staying true to his roots and chasing new adventures. With dreams in his head and a heavy heart, Keith left the Clinch Mountain Boys to chase new experiences. He joined J.D. Crowe and the New South, where he found the creative freedom he longed for, a chance to really explore his musical talents. As time went on, Keith's music changed, moving from the sad tunes of bluegrass to the lively sounds of honky-tonk. His voice, which once blended softly with the wind, now soared high and free, full of emotion and passion. He packed his bags and ventured into the unknown, searching for something greater, and thus began the next phase of Keith Whitley's story, a mix of success and sadness, triumphs and tough times. Stepping out as a solo artist, the path was not easy. His early albums didn't do well, receiving only a mild reaction from critics and listeners. It seemed like real success was always just out of reach, but Keith didn't give up.
When you say nothing at all.
With strong determination and passion, he kept improving his skills and waited for his big break. Then, suddenly, success found Keith. His album LA to Miami became a hit, winning over fans everywhere with his genuine voice and touching lyrics. Songs like Miami, Miami made him famous, establishing him as a rising star in country music. However, his life ended too soon. Despite his huge success on stage and the love from fans worldwide, Keith struggled with deep personal issues. His fight with alcoholism, once a small shadow in his life, had turned into a fierce storm, threatening to overwhelm him completely. Day and night, he looked for comfort in alcohol, trying to forget his troubles in a whirlwind of whiskey and regret. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free from addiction, which kept tightening his grip on him, pulling him further into despair. And then, on a fateful morning on May 9, 1989, tragedy struck with unforgiving force. As the sun rose over Nashville's skyline, casting long shadows across the city streets, the world awoke to the news that Keith Whitley's life had come to a sudden and tragic end at the age of 34. In the quiet solitude of his home, Keith's lifeless body lay still, a victim of the very demons that plagued him for so long. Alcohol poisoning, the silent killer that stalked him for years, had claimed yet another victim, leaving behind a legacy of talent and promise unfulfilled. The news sent shockwaves rippling through the country music community, leaving fans and fellow artists alike reeling in disbelief. How could someone so young, so talented, be taken from us so soon? It was a question that echoed through the halls of Nashville's honky-tonks and reverberated in the hearts of everyone who had loved him. But in the sadness and mourning, there was a feeling of togetherness, a realization that Keith's death was not only a loss for country music, but also a wake-up call for the music industry dealing with addiction. His passing highlighted the heavy price that fame and success can take on a person's spirit. It became a warning story that would resonate in the world of music for many years. Comment down below what your thoughts are on the tragic death of Keith Whitley, and while you are at it, make sure to subscribe to our channel, because we have so much more to share with you.
Don't close